I want to talk about some strategies that you can use to learn Italian. Bentornati a Trishasitaly. Welcome back to Trishasitaly. I get questions all the time from people trying to learn Italian. Impariamo l'italiano. Allora, learning a language is not easy. Unless you have like a superpower brain that can pick up languages really, really fast, you're really lucky. The number one rule when learning a language is stick with it. Non mollare mai.
Non mollare mai.
So it would be really useful when learning a language to go to that country where that language is spoken. Many of us obviously cannot do that, so it's a little bit hard. Maybe you have to learn a language for work. Maybe you met someone who speaks that language. Maybe you've always just been interested in that culture. There are many different reasons as to why we learn languages. Maybe you want to be some super bilingual superhero. Non lo so, vabbè. Comunque. So if you do have the opportunity to go to the country where that language is spoken, that's going to be your best bet because you're immersed in the culture, you're immersed with the language, you're kind of forced to speak that language. At least I would hope that you would try to speak that language, but hey, everyone's different. I know people who lived in Italy for years and only knew a few words to say in Italian. They could get by with their English and that was fine for them. For me, I'm the opposite. If I'm going somewhere, I want to learn the language, at least the basics. If it's like a vacation, I want to be able to communicate with the people that are native to that country. Because through languages, you can learn so many things. So it's not only about learning the words and the pronunciation, but when you learn a new language, you learn the new culture. You kind of have a new way of thinking. It's like when I speak English and when I speak Italian, I feel like two different people. Sono due persone diverse. My voice changes too when I speak English and Italian, I think. I think my voice is lower in English. Bah, non lo so. So as I was saying, what was I saying? I'm really bad at this. There's so many different phrases and words and proverbs and things that we have in languages that are directly related to the culture and how we think. So I'll just give you an example. In Italian, we have the phrase colpo d'aria. In English, it would literally translate to a hit of air. Un colpo d'aria. Now, in English, it doesn't make sense. In Italian, what this is referring to is when you are, for example, outside and it's windy and you don't have anything covering your neck, you'll get hit by air, and that air will directly target you in that area, and then the next day you're gonna have pain from it. So if I wake up the next day and I have a neck ache, my nonna would say, un colpo d'aria, hai preso l'aria.
Vabbè, nonna, io esco, ci vediamo dopo. Dove vai vestita così? Copriti le spalle che ti prendi un colpo d'aria. No, vabbè, non fa niente, dai. Oh, cavolo, c'è vento. Che c'è? Niente. Te l'avevo detto. Vabbè, nonna, io esco.
So in English, right, hit of air, it doesn't make sense. We don't know what that refers to. And then when we tell, for example, Americans or North Americans about this concept of un colpo d'aria, or a hit of air, like people will look at you like you're crazy, like, right? Like we don't have that concept of getting hit by air. We go outside, we don't wear a scarf, it's fine, we'll be fine the next day, no problem, right? But in Italy, it's like all of these magical illnesses just appear. Like when I was living in the States before, when I was younger, I could go outside with wet hair and have no problems. After I lived in Italy for a long time, I got so sensitive. I got very sensitive to air. That sounds ridiculous. But I get sensitive when I go outside and I don't have a scarf and there's wind or it's cold. I'm very sensitive to even go to bed with wet hair. Like, I can't do it anymore. And I really despise air conditioning. As soon as the air conditioning comes on, my throat hurts and I just can't function. I prefer the natural air. But that's what happens when you live in Italy for so long with no air conditioning. You just get used to it. So there's just so many different concepts like this that don't translate into our native languages. They're really specific to the culture. So when learning a language, I think the best thing to do is first get the basics down. So you can watch YouTube videos. I'm gonna be posting some videos of the Italian basics. You can use apps like Duolingo and Rosetta Stone, which I heard are good. But when I'm learning, I like to have real life instances and real life experiences, real life situations. So I also recommend Hello Talk, which is an app, and you actually go on there and you can communicate with people in your target language. So say you want to learn Italian, you can go on and you can say, I speak English, but I want to learn Italian, and then it'll match you with Italian native speakers who want to learn English, and then it's kind of like a language swap. So that's kind of helpful if you want to get hands-on and start some conversation and meet new people, talk about the culture as well. So yeah, it's pretty cool. Bello. Something else that I recommend is listening to a lot of music. La musica, le canzoni dell'amore, love songs. I'm a hopeless romantic. I love listening to Moda because the lyrics are so romantic and so simple, and I'm gonna get made fun of for this. But I've always loved Moda. So if you're into really sappy romantic music, you can listen to them, and that will definitely help you with your Italian. Of course, you can listen to all different genres of music, and just getting into the habit of listening to the pronunciation of the words, that's going to help you a lot. Music goes really fast, obviously, so a lot of the times you're probably not going to understand what they're saying, which is why I do recommend like the slower, sappier, romantic songs, because they are easier to understand and to pick out the words. Of course, it's up to you. If you listen to Italian rap, you're probably going to have a harder time understanding what the heck they're saying. You can listen to classic Italian singers. For example, my favorites are Fabrizio De André or Lucio Dalla. Andrea Bocelli is always a favorite, and I think that his lyrics are pretty simple to understand as well, depending on the song. Con te partirò, con te partirò. Namo, Vasco Rossi. Giovanotti. Giovanotti is really good for learning Italian. I find he has a lot of songs that express grammar in Italian. So if you're learning a specific type of grammar, you can listen to a specific Giovanotti song which really highlight those aspects. Books, I libri. Allora, so books is a little bit interesting because obviously if you're not at a higher level in Italian, it's going to be harder to read a book in Italian. So of course, start off with the basics. You can use grammar books. Grammar books are great because they give you exercises to do to first learn the structure of sentences and then learn grammar. But there's also books out there where there's like short stories, Italian short stories, and they go from different levels. So I would definitely search out some of those books where it starts off at a basic level. You have some readings, it's probably like a paragraph or something, and it's like all basic words that you should probably know if you're in the beginning stages. And then at the end of each reading, they give you exercises, like comprehension exercises, or pick out the specific grammar point in the reading. For example, pick out all of the present tense words, or pick out all of the words that are in the past tense. Pick out all of the words that are in the future tense, for example. But then when reading, you know, the further you get in learning a language, you'll be able to understand a little bit more. You can always read the news in Italian, obviously like world news or If you're familiar with a news story, like what's going on in the world, you can read it in Italian and try to see if you are able to understand the words because you already know the context. You already know what the article is about. That's the most important point, is when you're reading or watching a movie or a TV show, is knowing the context first. If you're in the beginning stages and you're reading a book or you're watching a movie and you have no idea what the plot is or what is going to happen, you're probably not going to understand what they're talking about just by listening. So it's important to first, maybe if you're reading a book, you could go and read a book in Italian that you already have read in English, your native language. For example, if you really like the book Harry Potter, okay, for example, you have read Harry Potter a million times in English, you can switch over to Italian because you know the context. You know pretty much what every character is saying. You know what's gonna happen. You know each page by heart. It's a little crazy. Pazzesco. So yeah, and then you go in and you read Harry Potter in Italian because you already know what's gonna happen. So that way you are able to connect the words in the Italian Harry Potter with what you already know in English. Of course, when you're reading, try not to stop at every word and look it up in the dictionary because that's only going to hinder your progress. The most important part is just to kind of like get through maybe like a whole page or a half a page and try to see if you can understand what's happening by the context instead of going in to define every single word that you don't understand. I know you want to learn as many words as possible, but it's really going to slow you down if you're constantly stopping, because reading is also learning the sentence structure. Being able to read quickly in a language is important as well. So try to get as far as you can, and then if you are struggling with words, I mean, just underline them first before looking them up. Underline them, keep reading, see if you understand the context, and then when you are really unsure of what that word actually means, you want the exact definition, then of course you can go back and define it. Then there are movies and TV shows, which I totally recommend because if you are watching, for example, an Italian series, you're getting the Italian culture. So right now there's a lot of films and TV shows on Netflix that are Italian. Some of my favorites are Suburra, Blood on Rome, or Curon, or Summertime. I don't know, it's like a cheesy summer romance, but it was cute. Luna Nera. And then there's some movies on Netflix right now. The Life Ahead with Sophia Loren is supposedly really good. I actually haven't seen it yet, but I have to go in and watch it. L'Isola delle Rose, about a true story, that one was a really good movie. Definitely recommend it. So for Italian movies, I recommend watching in the native language, Italian, with Italian subtitles, but that might be for the more advanced levels of Italian language learners. When you're first starting out, I would pick a movie that you already know and you love in your native language. So let's go back to the Harry Potter example, right? So you love Harry Potter, you love the movie Harry Potter, the first movie, you know it by heart, you know exactly what they're going to say, you know the context. So what you're gonna do is you're going to find Harry Potter in Italian. First, you can watch it with the language in Italian, listening to Italian, and the subtitles can be in English, right? So this way you are connecting what you're hearing with words that you know in English. Then, the second time around, go back, watch it again, but listen in Italian and change the subtitles to Italian. This way, you are connecting what you're hearing with the words in Italian. Shouldn't really be that big of a problem because you already know the movie by heart and you already know what they're gonna say. So this way is really practicing your Italian, not necessarily for the enjoyment of the film, but for really going in and practicing those words and that pronunciation that you're trying to learn. Same thing for TV series. If your favorite TV series is Friends, just change the language to Italian.
Tu! E tu!
Sì, ma non puoi dirlo a nessuno, nessuno lo sa.
Ma come? Quando?
È successo a Londra.
A Londra!
La ragione per cui non ne abbiamo parlato è che non volevamo farne un affare di Stato.
Ma è un affare di Stato! Io devo dirlo a qualcuno, non ce la faccio!
Non puoi!
Changed the subtitles to Italian, and a lot of people like to watch TV series like again for a second or third time, like just to have on in the background of the house when you're doing work or you're cleaning or cooking or whatever. And this is the perfect opportunity to just change that language. Change it.
Vaffa Napoli, eh?
Change the language. You have Italian running through your house all day long. You're just listening to it. And this, maybe you're not learning exactly what they're saying. You don't really know what the words are that they're saying, but you're learning pronunciation of the Italian language. And that's pretty cool. Che altro? Anyway, guys, I hope that was helpful. If you guys have any questions, as always, leave a comment. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share if you liked my video. I really appreciate it. You guys are awesome. Grazie mille. Grazie, grazie, grazie. If you're learning Italian, leave a comment. Let me know what has worked for you, what hasn't worked for you, and feel free to ask any questions if I missed anything. Siete fantastici. You guys are awesome. Bravi. In bocca al lupo. In bocca al lupo. In the mouth of the wolf is an Italian phrase that we use to say good luck. The response, we could say crepi, may it die, or simply grazie. A tutti gli amici che stanno imparando l'italiano, in bocca al lupo. See you guys soon. Ci vediamo. Grazie. Ciao. Non lo so. Ho dimenticato qualcosa? Non lo so! There are many different